warm AAHOA welcome to Aritra, Basu, Roy.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for the warm applause, and thanks for the introduction. So I had planned a detailed introduction myself, but I think most of the salient points have been covered. Just a brief overview about what I do. I'm a global account manager based out of Google, New York. What that means is my job involves talking to travel clients on a day-to-day basis and consulting them on their advertising plans and media solutions. And I live in New York, and on a personal note, I'm a big foodie. New York has awesome cuisines, which is a perk of living in the city, I guess. In fact, when I was invited to come to San Antonio, that was one of the perks of coming here. That was one of the attractions. Just try out some good Southern American food. So I'm going to speak to you about Google 101, exactly what the topic says, which is basically how to use the search engine best to make you more money. So just to get started, when you think about starting a business or creating a business, what are some of the most salient points that come to mind? I like to think of creating a business from a three-pillar perspective. So one is having data insights. So you learn from the industry, you learn from your peers, you look at surveys, you look at expert opinions, and you get all the data you can from the wild, basically. And then when you have all that data, you apply it to your business. So you set up your business with this complex labyrinth of legal, marketing, PR, and sales and everything. And then when your business is up and running, the last thing you do is you measure. You see, did I do well? Did I get the desired outcomes of my business? And then finally, just to close the loop, you apply all the learnings of measurement back to your business. And whatever you learn from a data insights perspective from the industry, you apply that feedback back to your business again. So from a Google standpoint, how can I help you? Why are you here? So from a data insights perspective, Google has a humongous amount of data. And we have several tools, which I'm going to talk to you about in the next few minutes. So that's from a data insights standpoint. From a measurement standpoint, I'm going to talk to you about a few solutions, about a couple of solutions, actually. One of them is Google Analytics. And then from a business logistics standpoint, while that is pretty much all on you, we definitely have a few things from a marketing standpoint, from a digital marketing standpoint. So first up is data insights, or as I like to call it, from data to insights. So in the past, if you think about it, whenever you needed to have some amount of data or insights from the industry, you relied on surveys conducted on maybe 100, maybe 1,000 people at the most. Or you relied on expert opinions, and maybe you had a focus group of 10 people, you relied on them to get some information. And these focus groups and these surveys were expensive. Digital, on the other hand, has completely changed this paradigm. So you have a lot of data out there. You don't need to conduct surveys anymore. There's big data. There's a lot of data. Now, especially Google has exploded that scale. Last month, we had 100 billion searches performed globally on the search engine. And we had 6 billion hours of video watched monthly on people planning trips and vacations, people seeking inspirations of their travel, how to cook videos, and all that stuff. Now, data is available. It's there everywhere. The idea is, how do I convert that data into an insight? How do I glean that data better? So that's where tools come in, which are going to take out your data and then give you some measurable outputs which you can take action on. So when I speak of all of these tools, I like to divide these tools into a three-point framework. So you have consumer. You have some tools which speak about how your consumers are behaving. And then there are some tools which speak about the category, which is how your industry is behaving. And then lastly, you have some tools to measure how your brand is performing. Like, do people know about your brand? are people searching about it? So first up is consumer. I'm sure people who own hotels or are associated with the hotel business in some way, you definitely would have sent your guests surveys about what their feelings are about the hotel, what their experience has been after they have stayed at the hotel. So Google Consumer Surveys is one such product to help you get a precise, fast input in a very, very timely manner. And it's very cost-effective as well because you pay on a per response basis. You don't have an upfront cost. If you have 100 responses, you pay some amount. If you have 1 million responses, you pay another amount. Other than sending over surveys to your guests who have checked out through Google Consumer Surveys, if you are an international brand, you can float consumer surveys across the board and gauge opinions, say across the United States, across just a small state, across the world, whatever your scale is, and you can tailor your spend accordingly. And within Google Consumer Surveys, you can also embed images, you can embed pictures, videos, if you want to make your survey more interactive. And here's a quick video of how it works. I mean, I love videos. Kind of makes me talk less.
Whether you're a Fortune 500 company, a creative agency, or a local bike shop, your success depends on understanding your customers. Getting to know them through traditional market research can be slow and expensive. Google Consumer Surveys is market research that's fast and accurate. It has the scale of the internet and it's powered by Google. Let's say you want to roll out a new product. In minutes, you can create a customized online survey to find out what your target market thinks about your features, pricing, and messaging. Or maybe you already have an existing brand and you'd like to track awareness and perception over time. Here's how it works. People around the web and on their mobile devices answer questions to access premium content, like news articles and videos, or to earn credits for apps, music, and books. The content provider gets paid as their visitors respond to questions. And you get automatically analyzed reports and a representative sample, starting at 10 cents per single question, up to $3.50 for 10 questions. Easy answers for every business decision. Learn more at g.co/consumer surveys.
So that tool is not fully free, but there are a bunch of tools which you can get data from for free as well. So where we come to the next one, it is called Google Correlate. What this one does, and this is again in the category segment, which means you're trying to know more about the industry. So what Google Correlate does is it shows how real-world events are associated to different industry insights. And it draws a correlation from a very, very number standpoint. So just to give you an example here, I searched on the tool for San Antonio vacations. And one of the highest correlated term, what that means is people searching for San Antonio vacations are also looking for Carolina vacations. Now, what's the implication for you on that? And this is just one example. You can find 100 others as well. So what's the implication for business on that? So if you are a hotelier, say owning hotels or running hotels in San Antonio, you know that the people looking to travel to San Antonio are also trying to find out hotels in Carolina. So make sure that you target and ask people not to go to Carolina and maybe come to San Antonio. And if you are a hotelier in Carolinas, like North Carolina, make sure that you target the people planning to go to San Antonio because probably they're also planning to go to North Carolina. So that's kind of one of the insights you can draw. And then the next one after that is Google Trends. So what that does is if you have any term, be it your brand or be it something like cheap hotels, just put that in the tool out there and it will show you how searches for that has varied or changed over the last 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, whatever time frame you want. So let me give you an example here. So I searched for the term Asian American Hotel Owners Association, AAHOA. And as you can see, there's a peak out there last year around, I think, March or April. And even this year around end of February and March, the search volume is coming up. This is the United States data of the search term AAHOA, how many people have searched for it from 2016 to 17. Now, if you have to relate that back to real events, from what I gathered, last year in 2016, you had a big national convention. And then this year, you're having this convention. So the search terms started peaking in February and March. And then on that note, I also checked how the search volume has varied across different states of the United States. And if you overlay that with the distribution of Asian American population in US, you find a very strong relation. So wherever there are more Asian Americans in US, people are searching for AAHOA on Google. So what that means is you can go ahead and put your term onto Google, say your brand, if you want to find out how your brand is performing, how different states or different regions of the US are looking up for your brand. So put that in Google Trends, that will give you an idea. Not only brand, say you want to understand what is the seasonality of travel or hotels in Chicago, for example. You can put that term in there, and it will show you when query volume surges for travel to Chicago or travel to Las Vegas, for that matter. Now, places like Chicago and Las Vegas, you might ask, well, I know the seasonality of those places. Those are big cities. But there are hundreds and thousands of cities across the world. There are small towns. How do you find out what the seasonality of those places are? And even if you know the seasonality, sometimes there are unforeseen events that happen in a place which affect travel visits. You might not have read the news. You might have missed out reading the newspaper in the morning, and something happened, which would probably impact how people search for that particular location for the next 1 or 2 months. And you can prepare for that by looking at Google Trends and see how the query volume has varied. And the last one, and this is kind of my favorite one, is called Think with Google. And I put in a label of consumer, category, and brand on it. The idea is to tell that this involves everything. This is basically a hub of case studies, research, and most of those tools that I explained before, a lot of those tools are linked in the hub as well. So just search for Think with Google on the Google search, and you'll find this huge resource pile of whatever you want to know. And one of the interesting things is Think with Google has a special section dedicated to travel. I think travel and retail tend to be one of the most popular businesses, which is why you have special sections dedicated to it. And you have different articles like millennial travelers, or how travel apps fuel the consumer journey, and different research articles out there. I've just put in 3 screenshots out there, but you can go in and check more articles on the travel business on Think with Google. So here's to recap. On the consumer side, you have consumer service. On the category side, you have Google Trends and Correlate. And brand, you have just Google Trends, so you can search for your brand on Google Trends. And then you have Think with Google, which spans across all 3 categories. So that wraps up the data insights part. Now comes marketing tools. How do I market? So pretty much all of Google's marketing solutions, and I think a lot of you might know about this, is basically everything under marketing in Google falls under the umbrella of Google AdWords. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Google AdWords, but Google AdWords is not just one single product. It's an umbrella of different features out there. So just a pop quiz. How many of you have seen this screenshot of ads when you search for on Google? Just a show of hands. Cool. That's majority. And then this one, this is an ad on YouTube with a skip ad button. How many of you have seen this? Perfect. And then what about this? This one is on Google Search. Cool. So just to explain to you, all of these 3 things are marketing and advertising solutions available on Google Ads. I think I saw a lesser number of show of hands for the last one, so I will explain that more. So the last one is called Google's Hotel Search. So Google, if you search for something like hotel in Chicago or hotel in any particular city, or even for a particular property, say you search for Marriott Hotel River Center, Then you have prices of that hotel displayed on the search screen. And you can put in check-in and check-out date. The prices will vary. And the thing is, you can advertise on this product. So what that means is if somebody clicks on Duty Plaza Hotel San Antonio Riverwalk, which is the first result, there can be ads of the hotel direct or maybe some OTAs displaying several different price rates. And you can update that price in real time. So you can tell Google that, hey, if you book a hotel in April, it's $200. If you book it in May, it's $150. And then that kind of helps you get traffic. And if you think that your website does not offer a great booking experience, if you want to leverage Google even further to use its platform, use its technology, you have another option after this called Book with Google. So you can just use the Google platform and interface to directly book from there, which involves lesser clicks. Of course, that might mean that you share data with us, and that can be legal issues for you. So I get that, and you might have an amazing website, so you might not want to do it. But that's a different conversation. If you want to use the technology, definitely it's available.
Yeah, but how much does that cost? Is that a flat rate, or is that you think you're going to screw it 50% or what?
So there's no flat rate in Google. The whole system is auction determined, and I will come to questions at the end. It's all auction determined. You pay on a per-click basis, and it's just a real-time auction that's happening out there. And of course, if you have the best rates, ultimately quality matters for any marketing strategy. So if you have the best rates or the best hotel, you beat the others in the competition. Just a quick video on how AdWords works. I'm sure people are familiar with it, but just to recap.
As a business owner, you've probably tried all kinds of advertising. Newspapers, flyers, maybe billboards, or even event sponsorships, or radio and TV ads. These kinds of advertising can help you reach some potential customers, but they have their limitations. Once your ad is in print or on the air, it's hard to make changes. Most of the time, you can't easily measure how many people see your ad or tell if they're the right people. And even if your ad does go to the right people, it's hard to make sure you reach them at just the right moment. AdWords addresses all of these limitations by letting you tailor your advertising to the unique needs of your business. Anyone can set up and use AdWords. Our online instructions walk you through signing up and creating your first ads. And if you get stuck at any point, you can always contact us for help free of charge by phone, email, or chat. AdWords gives you the ability to reach potential customers at the moment they're searching for what you're offering, letting you tailor your advertising to the needs of your business, even if those needs change during the year or during the same day. AdWords takes the guesswork out of advertising by telling you how many people saw and clicked your ad. And since you can make changes to your ads at any time at no extra cost, you can tell exactly which ads are the most beneficial to your business. How much will you spend? That's up to you. During sign-up, you choose an average daily budget that you're comfortable starting out with, and you can change that budget at any time. How do you know if your investment is paying off? Well, with AdWords, you can choose to pay per click. So instead of spending money hoping to reach new customers with a TV or newspaper ad, with AdWords, you pay only when someone is actually interested and clicks on your ad. Don't wonder whether your advertising dollars are working for you. Use AdWords to reach the right people at the right time at a price that's right for your business.
So yeah, just to recap, all of those ads that you saw, be it on direct hotel searches with prices, be it on regular on the search results, or be it on YouTube, all of those happen through AdWords. So we spoke about data insights, like gathering data through different tools. We spoke briefly about marketing through AdWords. That's the only marketing tool we have which involves everything. The last thing that we have right now is, how did I do? How did my marketing campaign work? So on that note, not even marketing campaign, you can just see how is your website performing. So on that note, I have a couple of things to talk about. And first up is Google Analytics. So just quick show of hands, how many of you are familiar with Google Analytics? Cool. It's a reasonable number of people, which is not too bad. So I think the first time when I logged into Google Analytics, it seemed like a very, very complex tool providing a huge amount of data out there. It's a free tool, which is great. Now, the first time when I logged in, I felt like I need to be a math topper or something to interpret this tool much better. It's like a geek's heaven. So I'm trying to help you kind of make Google Analytics simpler by putting it into a framework. And here's this framework. So before we begin, let's just try to remember these two things. So what information does Google Analytics provide? One is metrics, which are just simple measures. So number of visits to your website, number of visitors, time spent on site. So these appear as columns on the screen. And then you have dimensions, which is which geographies did people search from, which are the traffic sources, be it direct traffic, be it coming through organic searches, be it through paid searches, or be it through Facebook. So these are the two things to keep in mind in the beginning. So if I delve deeper into that, as I mentioned, dimensions appear as rows, and then metrics appear as columns. And then all reports are primarily categorized into 3 sections. One is acquisition. So what that means is, how did users come to your website? And then behavior, what did they do after they got to your site? And then lastly, conversions. Did they make a purchase? What did they do before leaving my site? So these 3 sections, and then the metrics and dimensions kind of explain all of these sections through different reports. So one of the most commonly used reports that I have used before is the geographic report. So you have the different countries, United States, Germany, France, that is where your traffic has come from. And then you have all of these metrics as columns, as I mentioned. And then all of the reports kind of fall into 3 buckets. Acquisition. So for acquisition, you have things like sessions, which means that how many people use the site, how many times your website was used. And then behavior, which is, these are kind of technical definitions, but I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. So bounce rate, what that means is how much time did people spend on the site before bouncing off. And then conversions, which is how many people converted, how many people purchased a hotel or anything for that matter from United States, Germany, France. Now, you might not necessarily be an international chain, so something like an international view might not be of interest to you. So you have here city, continent, subcontinent, and it's not shown in the screenshot here. You can even delve deeper into like neighborhoods, how many searches are coming from different neighborhoods of a city. And then if you don't like looking at data in just this kind of a manner, you can just click there. It will put you into pie charts format or much better graphical representation formats. And then there's another similar report where it shows where your traffic came from. So you have organic searches, you have direct, you have social, which is Facebook or Google+. And then referral traffic, where other sites have referred traffic to your website. And so that's Google Analytics for you. And then before I wrap up, there's just one quick thing that I wanted to talk about, which is mobile. I think all of us use multiple devices right now, sometimes simultaneously, which is just insane. In February, I was visiting Austin, and while in my cab to the airport, I just wanted to check what's there to do in Austin. And I searched on my phone. There's so much of information out there. You have an Austin travel guide, you have flight durations and cost available. If you look at data, 50% of Google's searches globally last year came on the mobile, which is insane. It's 50%. And 60% of travel destination-related searches, which is visits to Chicago, visits to San Antonio, came from mobile. Like, that's the volume, that's the scale we have now, 60%, which makes mobile all the more important. Now you can argue, well, people don't really make a purchase on the phone. Well, that is true, but maybe people are checking out your website, your prices, your features on the phone. So if you are not doing well there, you have a chance of losing traffic to your competitors. So it's very important to have a good mobile experience. And on that note, what is the most important metric that we look at from a website experience perspective is basically website speed. And that's one of the data we brought up, is that 53% of users bounce if a website takes longer than 3 seconds to load. This is particularly true for mobile. So just a last tool to wrap up here on that note is called Page Speed Insights. So just search on Google for Page Speed Insights, put your URL. It will give you a score of what your speed is on mobile versus desktop. So yellow is average. If it comes in green color coding, it means it's really good. And if you are in red color coding, well, you have got some work to do. So I searched for AAHOA's website. It's 71 on mobile and 74 on desktop. Not too bad, but definitely some room for improvement. And I haven't put up a screenshot here. Below this course, you will also have details on how your webmasters can modify this site, like instructions, directional instructions mostly, on how your webmasters can modify the site to make it faster. What are the corrections they can make on the website? So you can just submit the whole report to your webmasters, and they can take a look as advice on what changes that can be done to the site to make it faster. So those are all the tools I had to talk about and all the insights I had to provide. Just a recap here, on the data insights point of view, I spoke about Think with Google. And then Google Consumer Surveys, where you can survey people across different geographies. Google Trends, find out how different search terms are doing. Correlate, just to find out related things on the web. From a business logistics marketing standpoint, we spoke about AdWords. From a measurement standpoint, I spoke about Google Analytics. And then lastly, Page Speed Insights, which tell you what your website speed looks like. So just use all of these terms on the Google, search for them. You'll have the results on the top, giving you a link to these tools. You can go in there and take a look. So take a dive after the presentation. You can search from your phone as well. I'm sure Google created these websites to be pretty good experience on the mobile, so that's not bad either. So that pretty much wraps up my presentation.